Do you realize what you've done, sis? It's only natural that everyone's giving you the cold shoulder after the two of you betrayed me. You knew the consequences, right? In response to my fury, my sister retorted with a derisive smirk. Consequences? People's opinions. If you worry about that stuff, you'll never survive. If we're happy, nothing else matters. If you keep concerning yourself with what others think, happiness will keep slipping away from you, just like this time. In the amid of our quarrel, my husband sided with my sister, grinning wickedly. However, having executed a ruthless revenge plan against those two, I will share that story today. My name is Ava, a 28-year-old employee. And my husband, whom I married last year, is 2 years older than me. He's 30. Let me share a bit about my background. My parents divorced when I was young. My sister and I were taken in by our mother, who raised us single-handedly. Despite the divorce, we still meet with our dad once a month. I'm not sure how my mother felt, but I loved my dad very much. My mother was tough and always assertive. Always positive, she was like a ray of sunshine for us. However, she passed away due to illness when I was a sophomore in high school. My sister is 3 years older. She was extremely cute from childhood with distinct facial features like a child actress. Even when we walked together as kids, my sister would often get comments from strangers like, "You look like a doll. Are you sisters? You don't look much alike." I was fed up with hearing those insensitively blunt words that hurt me without them realizing it. Even as a kid, it hurt. Compared to my sister, I had a typical face like everybody else. Unlike my doll-like sister, I've never been called cute by a stranger. In our student days, my sister was always popular. Compared to her, I was treated like a nerd, unpopular girl. Despite that, I was proud of and loved by my beautiful sister. I adored her, but there was one thing I didn't like. My sister always desired my belongings. She would casually take my clothes and things and take them to her room as if they were hers. But it didn't stop at material possessions. For some reason, she would exchange contact info with my friends, and if she just became friendly with them, it would have been fine. But she somehow managed to steal those friends away from me. In the end, she even took away all my old flames. I was slow to notice it, but once I did after the third boyfriend, I stopped introducing them to her. And I hid my relationship with my now husband until our marriage was decided. During our relationship, she would often say, "I know you have a boyfriend. You can't fool me. Introduce him to me. We're sisters after all." But I told her, "I've decided not to introduce my boyfriend to you anymore because you always take them from me. I'll introduce him to you when we've decided to get married." To this, she laughed off and said, "Oh, are you insecure? The one who gets their boyfriend stolen is at fault, you know. You get them taken away because you don't work on yourself. You reap what you sow. Don't blame everything on me." This attitude reaffirmed my decision never to introduce any boyfriend to her again. Happiness came out of the blue after dating him for a year and a half. He proposed in a chic restaurant, something straight out of my dreams. Of course, I was delighted and decided to get married. Once we've decided to get married, it's time for the families to meet. I also couldn't avoid introducing him to my sister anymore. The day I introduced him to my sister and my father, as expected, my sister showed up in a dress as if she were attending a wedding. My father also seemed a bit tense. "Dad, sis, I've decided to get married to him." As I introduced my fiancé, my sister's eyes sparkled, as expected. "Wow, he's so handsome! What does he do for a living?" Her usual flirty tone. His family runs a food-related business. Being an only child, he's the promised successor. Upon learning that, my sister got even more excited. "What do you like about my sister? I'm good at cooking, and ever since our mom passed away, I've been the one doing most of the household chores. Ava, she's not good at cleaning. I always have to clean up after her. Oops, did I say too much? Sorry." This was also within expectations. Every time I introduce my boyfriend, she can't stop making comments that lower my rating. I don't particularly hate cleaning, but due to my busy job, I made it a habit to do a thorough cleaning every weekend. As I wondered how he would respond, he said, "I'm surprised that Ava's sister is beautiful this much. I thought you were an actress. You're good at housework, right? It might be nice to live together, the three of us." he said, playfully with a gleam in his eyes. Perhaps it made her feel good, but my sister also said, "Since we're going to be family, it might be better to exchange contact information. Here's my ID, please get in touch." And she handed him a handmade business card, despite her being a part-timer who doesn't even work properly. Pathetic. I felt my mood drop a bit at this point. I wanted to argue back. About housework is entirely different. My sister is extremely OCD. Since she has a lot of free time, she cleans obsessively, several times a day. Even though she doesn't have money, she insists on cooking without additives because of her big ego. The food she makes is mostly steamed vegetables under the title of taste of ingredients. Well, it might be good for the health, but whether it can be called cooking when it's just microwaving is questionable. Ever since I started working, I've been cooking my own meals. My father told my sister, who was eagerly getting involved, "Don't always take your sister's stuff, go find your own. It's unseemly to reach out for other stuff. You're not that young anymore. Get married while there's someone willing to take you," he said, half-jokingly. My sister, her face red with anger, snapped. "I don't want to hear that from a divorced man. I feel sick. I'm leaving," and stormed out. My father said, "Don't worry about your sister. I'll take care of it. Please make her happy. I've put a lot of burden on my daughter. Please take good care of her." And he pleaded with him. He also said, "Leave it to me. I will make her happy. And please continue to support us." And time flowed happily as if the earlier incident had never happened. After that, I greeted his parents. "Nice to meet you. We've recently gotten engaged. We look forward to your guidance and support. Thank you." As I said that, his mother, Emily, warmly greeted me. "Oh, don't be nervous. You're such a beautiful girl. It feels like we suddenly have a new daughter." His father, Robert, also added, "We're a small business, but we're hoping you might consider working with us. We wouldn't want to force you, but would you think about it?" I had already heard about this from my fiancé. I'm currently doing office work, so it's my area of expertise. Yes, I have heard about it from him. I'll certainly try my best if there is something I can do. I'm looking forward to working with you both professionally and personally. Emily then said, "Oh, that's wonderful. It's a relief to have you here since we're just learning as we go with the office work. We're looking forward to working with you too." At that time, I was completely caught up in the dream of marriage. Considering that I didn't have a mother and was on bad terms with my sister, we decided not to have a wedding ceremony. Of course, we didn't have much money for the wedding. We registered our marriage at the government office, and we officially became husband and wife. I left my previous job to start working at my father-in-law's company. I thought I had a happy life ahead of me, but I began noticing something odd after I started living with my husband. He takes a day off from work very often. He's completely spoiled because his parents own the business. Even his parents, so used to this, don't say a word when he takes a day off. And then, one day when he slacked off from work, something happened. I had forgotten my phone at home and came back during lunch break to get it. But there were a pair of high heels at the entrance. More than a strange feeling, my heart was pounding so hard it hurt. Moreover, those high heels were the same ones my sister had taken from me before. I understood the situation instantly. I decided to go outside and act as if I hadn't seen anything. That night, he acted as if nothing had happened. I had absolutely no trust in him anymore. My sister, oblivious to the fact that she's just being played by her numerous boyfriends, keeps insisting that she's popular. Wanting to know more about my sister, I hired a private detective to investigate her. I was shocked by the investigation's results after a month. My sister had been involved with 7 different men in that month, besides my husband. Moreover, all of them were married. My sister had never held a full-time job. Whenever she did work, it was part-time, and she couldn't stick with it because she has a big ego. If she's scolded, she doesn't go to work anymore. When she was younger, she used to have a bunch of sugar daddies. She looked down on me, working and earning my own money, and said confidently, "If a woman is cute, she can get by in life." Perhaps she began to feel the limits of relying on sugar daddies as she got older. Still, my sister, unable to be independent, was hooked on easy dating apps in hopes of marrying into money, and she would catch rich men and get involved with them. However, all those men were already married. My sister was just their plaything. My sister, probably blinded by her popularity, didn't realize the extent of her actions. In the end, she was involved in extramarital affairs with 8 men, including my husband. It was disgusting to even breathe the same air as such a husband. So I brought up the topic of divorce. My husband retorted, "Huh? You want a divorce? Well, if that's what you want, fine. I'll give you a divorce. But remember, you're the one who started this, so no alimony." Just as I expected, he readily agreed. I confronted him. "You were having an affair with my sister, weren't you? I know everything. How can you cheat on your wife with her sister?" Upon hearing this, my husband responded, "Oh, that makes things easier. I'll divorce you and remarry your sister. Even our parents know. It'll be quicker to have her over and be a witness to our divorce papers." He then called for my sister. She arrived in a matter of minutes. Seeing my sister only fueled my anger, I asked her, "Do you realize what you've done? It's only natural for others to look at you coldly because you both betrayed me. Are you prepared for the consequences?" In response, my sister just belittled me. "Consequences? Public opinions? If we cared about such things, we couldn't live. If we're happy, it doesn't matter what others think. If you keep worrying about how others see you, happiness will slip away just like this time. I'll also cut ties with you. I've taken the position of the company president's wife." In a sense, I was relieved. The sister I loved so much in my childhood is no longer there. If I can cut ties with her, I'll gladly do it. The divorce was finalized without a hitch. I told them, "I don't want alimony. In return, never see me again." My ex-husband responded with a grin. "Well, that's a relief. A peaceful divorce." We were renting our residence, so there was no property to divide, and we didn't even have much savings. The small amount of savings we had, which was just enough to cover moving expenses, ended up going to me. Then his in-laws, Robert and Emily, stepped in. In fact, I had told them everything before this discussion. Emily, though surprised, said, "I love you so much, and I want you to be happy. Are you thinking of quitting the company? If it's hard for you, I understand, but I will support you in any way I can. Please think about it." Robert then added, "Our son is useless. Your work is essential for our company." As it turns out, his restless in-laws arrived a little earlier than the designated time. Robert told my ex-husband, "I've had enough of you. You don't work properly. To top it off, you take leave to have affairs. Pathetic." My ex-husband retorted, "Even if you say that, I'm the only child and the next president. By my time, everything will be AI, so learning now is pointless." Emily also scolded him. "You don't work, but talk big. You don't need to show your face for a while. Reflect on your actions and then come back." My sister gleefully added, "Lucky! Official vacation! Let's go on a honeymoon." It was clear the situation wouldn't get any better. I decided to stay at my in-laws' house until I could find a place to live. The next day, I filed for divorce. And just like that, I became a single again. And this is where my plan got set in motion. I sent a legal letter to my sister's affair partner right after filing for divorce. My sister panicked over the alimony demands from the wives of 7 men she had affairs with, pleaded with my ex-husband, saying, "We can get married if you pay this alimony. You're going to be the next president, so why don't you take some money from the company?" But he didn't work, so there was no way he had any money. And he couldn't possibly take money from the company. He was rational about this, and furious that she had been involved with 7 other men besides him. All he had in front of him were alimony demands for a vast sum from the affair partners. His future was looking bleak. Apparently they had a fight, but that wasn't the end of his misfortunes. A few days after I reported the divorce and my sister's affair to my dad, I was dining with my dad, who was concerned about my health. When I casually mentioned my ex-husband's parents' company, my dad said, "The president of that client company is my old buddy. Small world. We still go out for drinks regularly. He was the first person I consulted when I got divorced. He even performed at my wedding as a friend when I married your mom." It turned out that he had a relationship with the president of the client company. My dad, who was furious about this whole situation, had talked to his old friend about the divorce. He was furious that my ex-husband was so irresponsible. Knowing this, my dad contacted his old friend. He was drinking nearby, so he arrived soon. He was the president, who I had met several times at work. "Small world, isn't it? I can't forgive that guy who hurt your beloved daughter. I'm going to take action immediately." Don't worry, I won't let anyone but him be unhappy. He ended this topic quickly and began to tell stories about his childhood with my dad. The next day, when I went to work, Robert looked a bit panicked. The client company said that they cannot trade with a company where my son will be the next president. Following that, related companies have also proposed to stop trading. He said. Emily also said, well, it's natural to hear such a divorce story. Trust is the most important thing for a company like ours. When I tried to contact the client company, Emily said, it's okay, it's not your fault at all. It's karma. It's about time that lazy son got a reality check. It's natural for a company to want to get rid of him. We've spoiled him too much. He's always skipping work without permission, slacking off when he's there, and then he has the audacity to suggest that manual tasks could be done by AI. He's not welcome in our company anymore. If we left the company to him, it would go under. Hearing this, Robert also said, you're right. The company would just go under if he took over. I have a proposal. It's a bit sooner than planned. But Emily, can we tell her about that thing? When he asked Emily, she said, this is perfect timing. Go ahead, darling. Then Robert said, this is something we've discussed before the divorce, but my foolish son is good for nothing. He's a burden to the company. Therefore, I'd like you to learn various aspects of the job over the years as a potential future president. This is not about blood relations, but a proposal to protect your precious company. I hope you will accept it. I was taken aback. I didn't have confidence in myself, but I dearly loved them, Robert and Emily. I want to help them. Without hesitation, I answered, I will do everything I can. I want to be of help to you, Robert and Emily. Please allow me to continue working in this company. I wish to be able to protect this company over the years. I'm at your service. The two of them were overjoyed. Even though our form as a family has ended, I'm happy to have a deep relationship with them. Upon our decision, Robert called in my ex-husband. Feeling the unusual atmosphere, my ex-husband appeared promptly. I explained the circumstances. My ex-husband had been smugly assuming he'd be the next president. When he found out that I had inherited the position of the next president, he started yelling at me. Playing the victim, huh? A plain Jane like you needs to have a decent personality to survive. Trying to assert my company. I've got no intention of stepping down, he said. Before I could retort, his father Robert cut in. What kind of language is that for a future president? You're nothing more than a ghost employee who barely works. We no longer need such an employee in our company. You're fired. What's that all about? I pass on the sinking ship of a company that's on the verge of going under. I'm quitting. Give me a severance pay of $100,000. He was talking nonsense. It felt like talking to an out-of-touch child. His mother, Emily, was laughing. There's no way we have severance pay to give to you. If you say so, we'll have you compensate for all the losses the company has incurred due to your mistakes. You can't do that, can you? If so, you should quietly step back. He puffed up with an annoyed look on his face and blurted out, Geez, leave me alone. I ain't dealing with you folks no more. Don't come crying to me in your old age, 'cause I'll kick you to the curb. It was hard to believe that he would say something like that to his parents. Robert chuckled. Ha! No matter how hard times get, I ain't gonna come crying to you. Sorry, but this here company is doing way better than you think. Ain't never crossed my mind to rely on you for my retirement. And with that, my ex-husband said, We're done here, and stormed out. We all looked at each other and couldn't stop laughing. Emily chimed in, Good riddance. Knowing him, he'll be back crying in no time. But I ain't lifting a finger to help him, no sirree. It ain't doing him any good. Robert added, That's right. Well, gotta thank him for finding us a darn good successor to take over the business at least. My ex-husband said it's a peaceful divorce, and I reckon he's right. Later, I heard through the grapevine that he broke up with my sister. They must have come to their senses after seeing that big alimony. I once spotted him working as a cashier at the nearby gas station. I was relieved to see him working hard, but that was the only time I saw him there. He probably couldn't stick with it and quit. As for me, I'm working my tail off in sales alongside the president. I absolutely adore Robert and Emily, who treat me like their own daughter. The company is bustling, with more clients and new hires coming on board. I'm having a ball at work. Can't help it. My love life is in the pits, but my social life is through the roof. A fantastic family in Emily and Robert, and a job I love. Life's just peachy right now. No more ties with my good-for-nothing sister, so no troubles whatsoever. I'm grateful for the connection my ex-husband gave me.